So, the Brooklyn Nets have been playing very, very well this season and are rightly the favorites to win the East. They have three stars in Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, paired with some very good role players like Joe Harris and Bruce Brown. And they've added some quality players to the buyout market like LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. They're also tied for the first seed in the East, and they are the favorites. But in this video, I'm going to be looking at if anyone in the East can stop the Nets. And the two teams I'm going to be looking at are the Sixers and the Bucks. I feel like those are the clear top three teams in the East. And while there is other good teams, I think Miami is probably the best of the rest. I don't even know if they'll even get to the stage where they'd face the Nets. And I feel like any team below those three could easily just lose in the first round. So I'm going to be focusing on the Sixers and the Bucks. And I'm not really going to talk about the finals or Western Conference team because it's just too tough to predict who is going to come out the West. So if we talk about the Sixers first and their ability to stop the Bucks, I think the first thing would be health. And that's a question on both sides. The Sixers with Embiid, who is injury prone, as well as guys like Simmons, who have been out before. And the Nets, all three of their stars have missed significant time this season. So, obviously if a star player is injured, that's going to shift the balance of power and could definitely change the series. But presuming everyone is healthy, I think the big thing for the Sixers would be Embiid and how no one can stop Embiid. I think he would, he'd have a field day against the Nets, but truthfully, Embiid would have a field day against any team. If he's on and he's playing as best he can, I think he could just kill the Nets, especially if the Nets try switching. Like, if they're trying to stick Claxton or DeAndre Jordan or LaMarcus Aldridge onto him, that's not going to work, but they might be able to hold their own slightly physically. But then if they're switching and a guy like Kyrie or Joe Harris ends up on Embiid, that's an easy 2 points. In the Nets' defense, they do have a lot of big guys who have 6 fouls between DeAndre Jordan and Claxton and Jeff Green and LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. They have a lot of options for those two big man positions. And I think KD is going to play some 4, so they do have some options there, but it's going to be really hard to stop Embiid. With that being said, they can certainly outscore the Sixers on the other end, obviously with their star power and all that. And the next thing for the Sixers would be their other star, Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons is averaging 12 points a game, you can just forget it because the Sixers aren't beating the Nets with Simmons not playing a big role. Because you think of his physical advantage, he would have to demand a defender like KD. I wonder if Harden could guard him. Because Harden, though he would be shorter, is definitely physically stout enough. So it would probably be KD or Harden guarding him. Maybe Joe Harris doing a bit. And if he can be aggressive and get inside and finish around the rim and run in transition, then the Sixers could have a lot of success, especially if he's creating for other players. And if he gets a smaller player switched onto him, if he's able to attack that matchup in the post, that could also be beneficial for the Sixers. So I think what Ben Simmons we get offensively is also key for the Sixers, because though I think the Sixers can slow the Nets on the defensive end, they can't stop them, and they're going to need to put points on the board to beat the Nets, and they could struggle to do that. Apart from that, they have some other quality offensive players, Tobias Harris, Shake Milton off the bench. So I think they definitely have some offensive options, but I think it's really just going to be Embiid carrying a lot of their offense. And if he's in shape enough to play 40 minutes a game and post up and be aggressive every time, I'm not sure, but I think he's going to need to. So I'm not super confident in the Sixers being able to do that, to be honest. Between Ben Simmons' lack of aggressiveness and Embiid's physical condition and health and that sort of thing, I'm not too sure. Maybe they could do it for 1 or 2 games, but to win 4 games, that'd be tough. And if we think about it defensively, you'd think that they'd put Simmons on, probably Kevin Durant. I think Simmons is definitely long enough and is probably well suited to guard almost anyone. And he could guard almost anyone. Like if KD and Kyrie are sitting, he could guard Harden. Then again, Ben Simmons can't play the whole game. Apart from that, the Sixers have Matisse Thybulle, who's a great defender and could guard one of the three. But he would have to survive offensively, and he'd have to be knocking down his shots, because if you have him out there and he's not knocking down his shots, then it becomes easier for the Nets to double Embiid. And then the Sixers offense just collapses if, Embiid can get doubled and they can't punish the defense. So that could be a bit worrying. Apart from that, Embiid can handle whoever the big guy is. Tobias Harris, I'm sure, can guard Joe Harris. If he's asked to guard one of the big three, it could get a bit worrying, but we'll have to see. So in a Sixers-Nets series, I think it really just depends on Embiid and Simmons. If they're, playing at their best and being aggressive, I think that the Sixers can definitely make it a series. But if they're not playing up to how well they can play, then I think the Nets could easily just outscore them every game. Okay, moving on to the Bucks now, who I really like this season. And if we talk about them defensively first, they have three guys. They have Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, DiVincenzo. Those guys can all guard one of the big three. So it would probably be, Giannis on KD, and then I'd probably go Jrue on Harden and DiVincenzo on Kyrie, or Middleton on Harden and Jrue on Kyrie. So they have a lot of options on the defensive side. Whether they could get in trouble with handoff plays to Joe Harris or high pick and rolls with Brook Lopez defending, that worries me a little bit. So I think they might have to go a bit small ball, playing Giannis at center. Then whether PJ Tucker plays a big role in the series, he's been injured a bit. Who knows? If they're getting PJ Tucker, who can just battle with KD in 5 minute stretches, that could be really helpful. So he could also help out. And I think the Bucks have a good team defensively, a lot of versatile defenders. Whether Mike Budenholzer's willing to adjust to the Bucks and either switch more or play Giannis at center and ask him to blitz or double or just step up on screens. Because if they're playing drop coverage, KD and Harden are just going to walk into easy mid-rangers and floaters, and Kyrie can do that too. So that isn't going to work, and I think I'm a bit scared they might try that in the first game and just get blown out. So defensively, I think they definitely have the ability, but whether they have, whether they're willing to do it, and Budenholzer is willing to play that style and if Budenholzer is willing to play Giannis at center, that's more up for debate. And then offensively, I think the Bucks have a good chance through Giannis post-ups. If I would presume that KD guards Giannis a bit, but then they also throw some of their big man options at him. And if that happens, then I think if the Nets are switching, Giannis has to attack switches in the post, and they have to do that. And I think he can get a lot of easy points and a lot of free throws down there if he's willing to do that. But will it be more like 2011 LeBron or 2018 LeBron? Because if Giannis is playing like 2011 LeBron, it's not going to work. But if he's developed a post game and he has shown flashes of it, and he's willing to go into the post, and the Bucks are willing to throw it to him in the post, then I think they can definitely have a lot of success there. Apart from there, it will probably be a lot of pick and rolls with Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton. Brook Lopez will be setting some screens. Hopefully they use Giannis as a screener. And then, of course, it'll be Giannis isolations, Giannis getting to the rim, that sort of thing. The normal Bucks offense. I think that can definitely have success against the Nets. I don't think they're going to be putting an exuberant amount of points on the board, but in their first, they played the Nets already, and that was a pretty high-scoring game. I think it was in the 120 range. So they've definitely shown an ability to put points on the board. Their offense is good this season. And if they're knocking down threes and DiVincenzo has it going and Connaughton has it going, and PJ Tucker has it going, and Brook Lopez is hitting threes, then they can really be a dangerous team offensively around Giannis. So I think the Bucks have a good chance. I think they have a better chance than the Sixers, in my opinion, just because I see a more reliable way for them to stop the Nets or slow down the Nets and still be good offensively. I'd still probably just about pick the Nets, just because of those three guys, and I still have some concerns about the Bucks and whether they're ready yet and whether they have the depth to really go 7 games, 48 minutes a game, and if Budenholzer is willing to make adjustments. But if everything goes right, I think they have a good shot for sure. I'd probably put their chances at about, like 35% chance to beat the Nets in that series. I think that's probably about where I'd put it. I think they have a chance if everything goes right, but then again, they're certainly not the more talented team. So we'll see what happens. I'm really excited for the playoffs. They start soonish, couple months. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to this channel for more NBA content. Leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time.